George W. Minkler, born 1843, died 1928, buried at the Old Red Church Cemetery, Tivoli. Walking onto the grounds of a cemetery, one of the first things we notice are the gravestones. Oftentimes many stones with the same last name when we come upon a family plot. Once May comes, small American flags flutter next to the tombstones of our neighbors who served in the military. George W. Minkler's marker exemplifies both of these characteristics. He was from a large family, and he was a veteran. Reading about his service in the Civil War, especially when we contemplate the words he shouted in the heat of battle, causes us to reflect on how many lives he intersected with. Minkler's life began on December 7, 1843, when he was born to George and Catherine Moore Minkler in Tivoli. His siblings included Matilda Minkler Moore, Daniel Minkler, John Stephen Minkler, Amanda Minkler, Hannah Minkler Gruntler, Zachariah Minkler, Wallace Minkler, Mary Minkler, and Letitia Minkler Terwilliger. He was a Civil War veteran from Company C of the 128th New York Infantry Regiment, enlisting at Hudson, New York on August 18, 1862. Minkler mustered out of service on May 20, 1865, due to wounds received during the war. John Watts de Peyster mentioned him specifically during the inauguration of the Defenders Monument in Tivoli on November 28, 1866. According to de Peyster, George Minkler, from near our old Red Church, won for himself the sobriquet of Lieutenant by his coolness. As our boys charged up the heights, George sang out, "Don't get excited, boys. The Rebs are going. We've got them. Don't fire high. Aim low and we've got them." The event corresponded with his clear judgment. George was badly hit at Cedar Creek. A ball went through his head diagonally, entering near the right ear and coming out on the side of the nose, injuring but not quenching the left eye, leaving an ugly but honorable scar. The Defender Monument still stands proudly today in Tivoli, commemorating the men of the Tivoli-Madeleine area who served in the Civil War. Minkler married Margaret S. Stickle, and together they had 3 children, Frederick George Minkler, Jenny Minkler Lucas, and Paul Barton Minkler. In the 1880 census, he is listed as working for the railroad. He then married his second wife, listed only as Lizzie M., in 1895. There were no children from this second union. Minkler lived another 20 years. Sadly, his sons Frederick and Paul predeceased him in 1918. His daughter Jenny Minkler married Ulysses Grant Lucas, born 1869, died 1943, who for a time was the proprietor of Tivoli's The Times Journal and the publisher of the Red Hook Times. The Lucas family moved to Connecticut, where Ulysses worked for the New Britain Record and Herald for 25 years. After Lucas's passing, Jenny Minkler Lucas married Nye Downer of New Britain, Connecticut, where she lived for 35 years before returning to Red Hook for the last 11 years of her life. She was survived by her husband, her son Paul Lucas, and her grandchildren. George W. Minkler's final resting place is surrounded by the graves of many, many Minklers in the Red Church Cemetery grounds. The inscription on the tombstone of his grandparents, Daniel Minkler and Mary Sherman Ellsworth Minkler, reminds us, "Remember me, my children dear, now all as you pass by. As you are now, so once were we. As we are now, so you must be. Prepare for death, and follow me."